Hola. All right. So, fair warning, there are like 60 people that registered for this meeting.
Sorry.
Back by popular demand.
Another conference call too.
Like yesterday, I'll give you an example. You did a great job, and I really appreciate you getting me that price tag. But Schaefer had a job with 60 pieces of your equipment, right? It was 10 of those GAS.
I guess that was Laura Lynn or somebody.
Hi.
Morning, Sarah. Are you ready?
I did a PowerPoint. I did it so that
wonderful.
I could stand better and see, and I could slow it down and not talk the whole time.
Well, I'm hoping everybody took the test. So at least for the immediate 10 people we have on here, please tell me you went to the link and took the test, because this call is not as fun if you have not taken that test. And crickets. Don't everybody shout out all at once. It's okay.
Can we lie and just say we took the test? Would that be all right?
No. I mean, you can take it afterwards, but.
Oh, I'm 100% taking it afterwards. No, I'm doing it as we speak.
Good.
We're doing it as we speak.
Okay. I didn't take it the first time I was on the call, and it was just, we were trying to take it as we were doing, but you really can't, just because it really does take a good solid 15 minutes, honestly, just to kind of answer them, you know, correctly, I guess, if you want to say that. And it makes a huge difference. Sometimes we made our entire office take it, and now we have an entire wall of results and different guides that Sarah provided us. And we kind of went through a little mini exercise with it, and it worked out really well. A lot of offices do disc training and stuff. This seemed to work really well for us, and everybody really appreciated it, and it kind of shed some light on some things that we were just kind of ignoring. So we're still having people jump on here. Got 20. I really think we're going to make it up to 40 today. I just got a feeling. So we're going to wait a tiny bit. Even though we have 1 minute to spare, we might wait like 2 or 3 minutes just to let everybody on.
Why don't you tell them about the Women in HVAC event we're having?
All right. So for those of you who live under a rock and haven't checked social media, we just released our dates. The entire Women in HVAC board got in a room, had our planning meeting, and we did several rounds of rock, paper, scissors at AHR, and we finally came up with the dates and the place for this year and next year's conference. I know, we're getting better every year. So this year we're having it in Chicago. It is September 9th through the 11th, and it'll be a full 2-day event. That's right, not a day and a half, 2 days. One of the biggest things that came back on our surveys was we needed more sessions. We needed to have the breakouts available for more people, and people just wanted more time to network. So we did full 2 days, and we'll see what happens. So stay tuned for more details as we narrow stuff down, get our speakers together, and get a schedule going. And we should have registration hopefully in May. So we'll see. Again, another thing with the conference, when the hotels are released, get your hotel room because those things sell out fast. All right, so we got more people jumping on. We're up at like 25 people so far. Is there any, like, if you haven't taken the test yet, I encourage you, take a moment to do so. Like, it's so much better on the call if you have an idea of what we're talking about. Just as a forewarning. And some of you aren't muted, and I love you all, but some of the background noise is kind of fun. So I might mute some of you if I'm finding that, but I promise that, you can unmute yourself and talk anytime. We want to encourage that. All right, just 1 more minute here. We'll have people jumping in. All right. Well, for those of you who are just jumping on, like we said, our conference is in Chicago, September 9th through the 11th, so please stay tuned for more information on that. Please save the date. And right now we have done this. I'm going to mute you, Valerie. I absolutely adore you, but unmute yourself when you're ready. When you guys, if you have been on this call before, we had this last year, actually, well, right before when we were at AHR Atlanta, and she did a leadership, mentorship, and what was the other, sponsorship topic. This test is a really, really neat tool to use to kind of identify your leadership style, more like your personality and how you receive and how you output, information and when you communicate. It's one of my favorites now. I definitely have recommended it to a lot of people, and it's Sarah who actually brought it to our attention. And Miss Sarah Hammond is going to be talking about it. She actually has a PowerPoint presentation. And without any further ado, I think we can get started. And as people come in, if you have any questions, feel free to use the chat or feel free to, unmute yourself. And Sarah doesn't mind taking questions either. So thank you guys so much.
Thank you, Colleen. I'm super excited about today. I did a PowerPoint presentation. I went and kind of tried to streamline what the colors mean and why it's so important. I really believe that this has really helped me grow as an individual because I understood myself. I've taken thousands and thousands of tests out there, but understanding myself on how people see me is totally different from how I see myself. And so when you're trying to lead, especially with a team, you really need to know yourself fully and how you come across to different types of people, because we are different types of people. So there's 4 basic colors. And for those of you that took the test, I'm super excited that you took the test. Please share in the chat, some of your ideas or your colors so that I know who, what the range is. But I have a PowerPoint presentation and I'm gonna share that. Let me see, share my screen. And I'm gonna share my PowerPoint presentation. So can everybody see it? Yes, no? Do y'all see my PowerPoint presentation?
I can see it.
Okay, good. Okay, so the first one, it says Leadership in Living Color. And I titled it like this because when you lead through the color format of who you are and you understand yourself, you lead, it just seems like it just flows a little bit better. And so what does this mean? Well, this means the test, and I put the test up here, the link, for those of you who have not taken it and missed the link, this is the link up here where it says color, and it says, what is your color? So notice that there's 2 types of colors for each single person. And does anybody know why or care to share anything in the chat as to why there's 2 types of colors? What do you think that they actually mean? Anybody? No? Yes? I'm like looking for the chat. Oh, some of you guys are sharing your percentages. That's awesome. And because that really, when you start to really digest the color performance, you begin to understand what your strength is in your color and where you're weakest at and what irritates you the fastest and the type of personalities that irritate you the fastest. So I'm going to go into the program. Leadership behaviors. There's 4 leadership behaviors. 1, you have the red. For those of you that are red, it's called directive. Yellow is inspirational. Green is strategic. And blue is compassionate. So for those of you, anybody want to share, those of you that were part of the red, notice the definitions on how you define yourself and how you lead. So your first color is how you lead. Your second color is the motivation behind why you lead that way. Okay, understand the differences. Your first color is how you lead, your first instinct, the way that you sense and you feel your surroundings. And your second color is what inspires you to do it, or what is your driving mission behind it. So for those of them that are green blue, because I see some in here that are green blue, you're green, you're very strategic. You like direction, you're a perfectionist, you like procedures, and you like charts because you're a perfectionist. But you're leading with your blue, which is your teammate. You're very compassionate. You want your team to be supportive of you. The only thing about that, notice your leadership style is strategic and blue is compassionate. So you may be feeling everybody's emotion in the room and you're wondering why they're not getting on board with you when you're driving for people that are in the color of the blue. And that's for the green blue colors. The red yellow, the red likes to drive get to the mission, sets the goals, sees outside of the circle and sees the future. And they do it because they love people. But they have some, some quirks as well, because they're so goal oriented and they want to move so much faster that they may push people away. The yellow loves inspiration and creativity. They're always creating, but they're a little disorganized because they're always in their head creating, and they get loud and excited. And the blues and the greens are kind of like, hey, wait a minute, what are you screaming about? And they're not screaming for them. They're just sharing passion and excited about what they're doing. And then they're very emotional if they're a yellow blue, because they're feeling like, why are you not getting it? What about what I'm saying do you not understand? How come you're not on board with me? So we all have different leadership styles, and it's really, really important for you to understand your leadership style. And I did this little PowerPoint so that you could understand yourself a little bit better on how you lead. The second PowerPoint I have, and does anybody have any questions so far? Because I do have an activity in here. And I'm going to be asking for you guys to help me with this little activity. So y'all are going to have to share at some point, okay? How you get me to listen, okay? So here in this chart, you will see how the person that is in that color listens and how you should not approach them. If you're talking to a person that is a green person, right? You shouldn't be giddy, casual, or loud, or push too hard and be unrealistic with deadlines. Because remember, greens are perfectionists. So they see processes and structures and procedures. And if there's no structure in place and you give them a deadline for Friday, they're already not in a buy-in. They're not going to buy in, one, because you haven't solidified the deal with them. You haven't given them all of the facts. Two, you're giving them an unnecessary deadline when there has been no creation, and they're perfectionists. So now they have no way to meet your goal. So they're already feeling frustrated. If you're talking to a blue and you're trying to get them to buy into your new project management or to your new outlet or picturistic goals, you should not threaten them or force them to respond very quickly, because remember, they're intuitive, they're empathetic. You don't want to rush right into business. You want to ask them how they're doing. If you come off as too domineering, which the reds sometimes are, and demanding, they begin to push back and they're not invested. So when they don't become invested, their mind shuts off and you've already lost them. So it's really, really important that you understand who your blues are in your teams and who are your reds and who are your yellows. Now, if you're talking to a person in the yellows, you want to make sure that you're looking at providing a warm atmosphere for them. If you're curt and tight-lipped and you come in with your arms crossed, they're going to be like, hey, wait a minute. Like, who does she think she is? Or who does he think he is? Talking to me like that? Can't even have a conversation? You want to make sure that when you're dealing with a yellow, that you control the conversation and you deal with them in with not too much detail, because then you're going to lose them and they're like, what? Okay, whatever, write it down and I'll try to figure out to read it later. It's too much information for me. You're not getting me invited. They want to speak. The yellows want to share. They want for you to give an idea and for you to allow them to add to the idea. And if you don't allow them to add and they have to sit there and just take in and not take part of it, they're not going to have the buy-in and they're not going to be invested in your team or in your new project. Extremely, extremely important. So here's the activity. Everybody with me so far? Let me see, where's my little picture of y'all? My Zoom picture, I lost my little chat thing. Hold on. There you are. Okay, so let me go back to here. Here is my activity, okay? I want you guys to take 3 minutes based on the quiz that you guys took. And I want you to choose the 3 people closest that you work with on a daily basis. And I want you to guess what color they are based on how they listen to you, how you share your approach, and their leadership behavior styles. So I'm going to go back and forth between the leadership behavior and how you get them to listen while you guys sit there and think about the 3 people that are closest to you, that work with you, and how you come across to them. okay? Because it's super important that we know how people are understanding us and what they're seeing out of us. So red is direct, and they see the future. They want to see a big different picture. The yellow wants inspiration. They want to be creative and share. Yes, somebody's going to say something? I'll be quiet. No? Yes? Colleen, you're still with me?
Yeah, I'm still here. I just put myself on mute sometimes too, but I'm listening. I'm just making sure that, you know, people know that they're muted if it's background noise, but they can still talk.
Anybody have any comments? I'm trying to find my chat thing again.
So far, everybody's just been sharing their results. A lot of green blues, there's some red greens. So greens seem to be pretty predominant in this group, which is nothing I can relate to like at all.
You're yellow, blue, right?
No, red. Yellow, red.
Yellow, red, yes. Yellow, red.
Yeah.
And it's really cool when we start to see the differences in our personalities and who gets along best in groups. Now, I took a test with some friends when we did this test thing. And the instructor, what they had us do was do this exam where we sat in the colors of your groups. And this is really interesting, and I really want you guys to think about this, okay? Especially those that are greens, because you would think, okay, well, all the red got together, all the yellow got together, all the green got together, and all the blue got together. And I would really like if we could at some point do this kind of exam, like as a team, like maybe at a conference or something, where we do the collective work. But they made them, as a whole, try to do a project together. And which color do you all think finished first? It would be a good activity for a breakout session, yes. Thank you, Lindsay. But there's different colors, and what color do you guys think finished first? Which color do you think was the one that ended up completing the project?
Red.
Yeah, I see that.
I think green.
It's really important that we're going to understand more about the colors, and we're going to go into that next. But has everybody done their 3 closest people, the ones that took the test? Has everybody done what the 3 closest people to them are? What do you think that they are? And the reason I'm going to do this is because the next little activities that I'm going to give to you, I'm going to give you quotes, and I'm going to ask for you guys to tell me what color do you think this person is based on the way that they speak. Because I really want you guys to understand it's good to know yourself. It's super important to know yourself, but it is more important for you to know yourself and to know the people around you. Because if you can only relate the way you speak, then you may not be able to engage the whole team as a group. And that's where leadership stems from, right? Making sure that you have the buy-in for new projects. So, does everybody want me to move on to the next part? Has everybody had enough time to evaluate their 3 team people? If I can just get one person to say yes, then I'll move on.
Yes.
Okay. Okay. So here's the next little activity. Quote, what color is this person? Andre Agassi stated in a quote, he said, remember this, hold on to this. This is the only perfection there is, the perfection of helping others. That is the only thing we can do that has lasting meaning. That is why we are here. Anybody have an idea as to what color you think he is?
Yellow.
He's asking for perfection. Remember,
I'm going to say red.
What is the color that asks for perfection? Green. You're right, Jessica. Green demands perfection from themselves. Remember, prepare your case in advance accurately, provide pros and cons with realistic data, and stick to the business. Why? Because what do they lead with? Performance and consistency. So when somebody is talking about perfection, what is their first color? When that type of requests start coming out of their mouth, what are they looking for? They're looking for goals. They're looking for charts. They're looking for information to make a full, complete understanding. And that's what a green person is. That is why they are here, because that is how they lead. Perfectionists. Quote, Muhammad Ali. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Doing a good job.
You must have been hiding.
I wasn't sure if that was for me or, okay, I'm going to go on. If you want to say something, please stop. So the other one comes from, oops, I skipped one. Muhammad Ali. He said, I misspelled world heavyweight, sorry. It isn't in the mountains ahead to climb that wear you out. It's the pebble in your shoe.
Yeah, and Joe was supposed to be there, but
It's not the mountains, the hard work. It's the pebble in your shoe.
we want him to
What color do you think
Say hi.
that person is?
go to New York.
Training room was cool, right?
Pebble in your shoe.
Before it was told.
Remember,
So they didn't have the new.
blue. You're right, Lori Lynn. When the blue people begin with a personal comment, break the ice,
It's all bad.
present your case softly, be patient, and ask how. So their sets, teams, and are based on ethics and values. And if they don't feel like the project that you are going to bring to them is going to set value and bring ethics, they are not able to collaborate with you. And so for them, they're already unable to complete and fulfill because there's problems at the base. They sense everybody else's energy in the room. They notice frustrations and anger, and they're blue people, so they're empathetic. So they want to nourish and protect. So if they start to see that there's problems, they already start to see the pebbles in the room. So it's really important that you work well with the blue, because the blue will try to collaborate the people so that everybody can get up to the mountain. Okay. Another one was Princess Diana. She says, I don't go by the rule book. I lead from the heart, not the head. What color do you think she is? And the reason I'm doing quotes from people is because I want you guys to really start understanding the color process. When you meet people, you can start categorizing. Oh, I know how this person likes to lead. Oh, I know how to speak to this person. I know how I can get them to buy in. I know what they're looking for. I know how to feed them, right? Because that's what you're looking for, buy-in, especially from customers. You want to be able to have this. When a customer is angry, what are they talking about? Are they talking about details and perfectionism? Are they talking about not being understood and not being taken care of? Are they talking about the fact that you did not give them future quotes and future goals? I have a customer that called me and says, hey, your guy said that he was going to give me a quote and I still haven't received the quote. What kind of person is that? That's a red. They're looking at their future. They're moving forward, right? So Princess Diana, yes, Princess Diana is a yellow. She doesn't lead from the head. She leads from the heart. Creative. She doesn't look for a rule book. Remember, the yellows, if we go back to our yellows, they're inspirational. They create, they share, they develop. So it's really important for them to feel appreciated from the heart. They want to speak. They have feelings, you know what I mean? And not feelings and emotion like the blue. Their feelings are excitement, loud, energy. Okay, so you'll see the difference in a yellow and a blue right away. And the other quote that I have, and I have another little quip on quotes just so we can play. Wayne, you are right, he is red. A good hockey player plays where the puck is. A great hockey player plays where the puck is going to be. He is a red, always looking for the future. When your team is talking to you, do you know what makes them lead? Super important. I'm going to do just two more little quotes just for the fun of it, just to make sure everybody out there is sharing and understanding. And then from there, we're going to go into some more on the colors and the separation of the colors, okay? And if I'm talking too much or somebody wants to share something or ask me a question, please tell me. Feel free to comment, okay? The next one is Julia states, the situation I can't see the chat and read at the same time. There's no situation, none that isn't improved with a couple of laughs. Everybody needs laughs. What color do you think she is? Everybody needs laughs.
Yellow.
Yellow. She is yellow. You know, remember, yellows like the fun. Yellows like the support. Yellows are looking for the next fun entertainment. They want to create the big dream. They want everything to be awesome. So they're the yellows. Now we have Estee Lauder. I never dreamed about success. I worked for it. Who is Estee Lauder? What color is she? I never dreamed about success. I worked for it. What color does that? What color doesn't know? What color doesn't talk? What color doesn't talk is always working for success, working for perfection. I kind of gave it away. The green. Remember the green. So let's go back to the green. Strategic, roles, processes, procedures. They look for success in matrix. Do you think they're dreaming? Do you think that a green is dreaming about success? The green is already having a chart and already has the outline, is like, this is where I'm going forward. They're not dreamers. They are strategic developers. Reds have a tendency to dream. Why? Because what are they looking at? This is what my future is going to look like. This is where I'm going to go. So remember the colors. Look at the way that they get analyzed. The last one that I have for you, I think is the last. Yeah. The last one that I have for you is Stephanie S. Mead. She said, strategic leaders must not get consumed by the operational and tactical side of their work. They have a duty to find time to shape the future. Definitely. She's a red, right? What is she looking for? If a red is consumed in operational day-to-day stuff, they become stifled. They are not sharing anymore. And all they're doing is becoming bogged down. And if they cannot see future and they don't have that time to see the future, they're never growing. So reds have to be able to learn to delegate. And we're going to go through some of the colors and some of the issues that sometimes we create for ourselves and how we need to figure out how to step away from those and how to make sure that we don't burden the teams with the wrong delegation tasks. Okay. So we want to lead by example, right? I don't know if anybody has ever read McLaughlin. She's an American journalist. She's got some really cool quotes out there. I did put a link in the quotes in the next one that I'm going to have for you, so you guys can go and check her out. You might want to look her up. She's really, really amazing journalist. And she said the hardest learned lesson is that people have only their kind of love to give, not our kind. What does that mean? If you look at the colors, people only have their kind of love to give, not ours. So people are living their life with these leadership behaviors. So people, when they lead, this is how they love. Sometimes I can be in a room with some greens and I'm thinking right away, oh my God, she does not like me at all, right? But that's my ego talking out loud and judging, because I didn't stop to look at her and say, what is she leading from? What is her love language? What is her inspiration? I'm a red. So what is her inspiration? Why? Because she's quiet. She's analyzing. She's studying, right? And so I'm taking it as, oh, wait a minute, she does not like me. And instead, stopping myself, being a leader and saying, how can I listen to her and get her buy-in, right? So that's really, really important. I really love that quote that she said, the hardest learned lesson, people only have their kind of love, not ours. So when you lead your team, you have to remember that you're leading with their sense of themselves, okay? I forgot to add the title here, but I just did this PowerPoint, so, forgive my errors. But it is the most, she goes on to say, it's not the most unhappy people. Oops, sorry. It's not the most unhappy people who most It's the most unhappy people who most fear change. And I got it from brainyquotes.com, and you can go and find all of her quotes in there. She's got some really cool stuff. You could, print some, put some in your offices, but she's got some really cool things about how people react and the inner fears of people. And if you think about that, if you have people that are unhappy in your team or in your offices, or that are not producing, if they're unhappy and you're going to give them a new change order, then they're the ones that are going to have the most fear, and you're going to have to figure out how to get the buy-in from them first. Let's go back to the colors. I want to talk a little bit more now about how to delegate. Okay, so when you're dealing, does anybody have any questions at this time? Anybody have anything that they want to share with me or ask or anything? No? Okay. How to delegate. When you are dealing with a red, you want to give them the bottom line and then get out of the way. Give them the bottom line, these are the drives, and let them do it. You want to emphasize the responsibilities and how it's going to give significance to the rest of the team, and only give them guidelines. If you don't allow them to see the future and project how to get it done, and you start telling them this is the task, A, B, C, D, you're going to lose them. The yellows, you need to stress with them how the new task is going to give them more recognition from you, how you're getting a clear agreement on what needs to be done by them, and do checkpoints and milestones. Not too many details, checkpoints and milestones. This is a checkpoint. This is some things that we can do. By when do you think you can get it done? Let's look at a date and give them a deadline, because then they have more buy-in and they're more easier to produce and work for you, because remember, they're people pleasers. So they want to produce. It's just that you have to delegate to them in a way that makes them produce. And then the green, they want facts, figures. What do you need from them to get it done? Not just here's information. No, what is my point here? What are you looking for from me? What's my goal? What's my task? And give me some facts and figures so that I can get it done and move forward. Give them time to explain. Greens take time to analyze. My husband's a green, my poor husband. He's a green. And so I will go, future, boom, 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 boom. Here, what's we're going to do, what's we're going to do. And he sits there and he's like, and I'm like, crickets, kind of like today, crickets, right? And I'm like, and I have to stop myself and be like, he needs to analyze. He's being methodic. And then when he does share with me, I'm like, oh, I didn't think about that one. Good one. That's a great detail. Thank you for sharing. And I have to remind myself to be just as happy about his time that he takes to speak, because he needs that time to evaluate. My staff, 3 of them are leading with green, and they're my details people. They're the ones that are putting in the invoices, my operations manager, my accounts payable. Those are my green people. I'm hiring a new girl today, and before I hire her, I said, I want you to take the test and send me your results. Why? Because she needs to be a CSR. So what color do you think I'm going to be looking for? In a CSR person, what color do you think I'm looking for? I'm looking for a yellow, because I want to make sure that that person can speak to people, evaluate, and still stay in the connection and make everything excited. Because what is it for the customer? It's all about producing excitement, right? So I loved her on paper, but I want to see how her thought process is. And everybody, before I hire, I send them this color and I ask them to share with me what their colors are. I don't see anything in the chat. Anybody want to share with me anything on this so far on how to delegate? Either by chat and talking, or still making sure we have buy-in. Okay, let's go to the next one. Effective forms of recognition. How do we recognize people? People do not want to be recognized the same way. I have one of my supervisors, and he's a blue, and he hates it if I recognize him in public. He doesn't want to be awarded amongst the whole group of people. He doesn't mind being rewarded with his HVAC team. When I call him out, when I give him bonuses, I give it to him in private. He doesn't like It makes him feel very uncomfortable. He wants his recognition to be in private. It's super important that you understand how to recognize your team based on their color. The greens, they love the feedback. They want to know that you appreciate their analyzing and their perfection, their perfect way that they process formulas. One of my greens, she created a whole new formula for us. And I was like, man, you're amazing. I love this, because why? That's what she does so well. They want to be recognized for that. And notice one of the big things about effective forms of recognition, I'm like, I have 30 minutes left. Okay. Effective forms of recognition. Notice how you talk about money with them. Okay. So going to the red, the red want money for financial independence. Remember, they're futuristic. They want to be financially independent so that they can what? Build their future, look for their goals. So when you're talking to them about raises, you want to make sure that you're leading with this independence that they're going to be able to get, and that you're going to be sharing that with them, that you understand that they have goals. Yes, I will share this PowerPoint with you. That you have goals. The yellow, and this PowerPoint, I created it. So let me fix the little errors and then I'll send it out to you, okay? The yellow, they want money for their people. The yellow want to know that everybody in the team is being supported. They are a tribe. Who's getting raises? Who's involved? What's happening around them? Not just them, okay? The greens, money for plans. Remember, they're planners. I know that you have plans with your family for vacations every year that you do. I wanted to give you a bonus for those future plans for yourself and your family. Then they begin to feel, oh, I'm being listened to. I'm being heard. And the blue, they want money to support their family. So when you give them raises or you're going to give them a bonus, you want to make sure that you're talking about, I want to make sure that I know that your family is extremely important to you, and that maybe this little bonus can help out. I know that your family, your daughter was going to graduate from here, or your son is doing this or is in the sports, and the company really wants to help you out in those goals. And so you give them that support, and you give them those bonuses, or you give them those raises based on their sense of recognition. Super, super important. I really love the effective forms of recognition just because it helped me with my team, and it made my giving out bonuses or trying to inspire them to do more easier because I understood them more. Now, of course, we all have coaching tips, right? And this one is, we're going to start with the red and the yellow. So coaching a red. Reds have a tendency to get things done on their own. They need to learn to delegate. If you are a red and your main color is red, you're not delegating enough. If you're being bogged down and you're not taking the time to see the future and being able to share and move forward, you're going to become impatient, and you're going to become domineering, and you're going to become unapproachable. Because reds will take it on, but they are pushy. They are a little impatient, extremely impatient, and they bulldoze over things because they're just trying to get it done, right? So when I was leading one of the organizations that I was leading as a red, before I had ever stopped to really study my characteristic of leading, I would just go in and be like, boom, 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 let's get this done. And I could see people like, wait a minute, who does she think she is? And it's not because I was trying to be anything but get it done. I wanted us to grow, and I had a mission statement. But it was too domineering. It was too pushy. And so people were feeling that I was running over their feelings when I wasn't trying to, but I wasn't taking in their feelings at all. So it's really, really important when you're in those leadership positions, you're in those boards. What is your main color, and what do you do so that you can hold back and make sure that you're letting people to buy in and you allow the delegation to go through? You want to slow down when you explain things. And I know I'm talking a little fast right now, but you want to slow down so that people can get in with you and learn the buy-in. Thank you, Laura Lynn, for sharing that. Yes, that's me too. I have a tendency to do that, and I have to slow down. So that's why sometimes I will keep my mouth shut on purpose. I'll tell myself, just be quiet, Sarah, just be quiet. So let everybody else can feel connected as well. Look at the yellows, coaching tips for the yellows. I spend too much energy helping and pleasing others and neglect my own needs. I need to find balance and be aware of my reactive and spontaneous behavior and press pause from time to time. I can become frustrated and impatient when others don't understand my idea. I need to control my emotion better. I need to press pause to be more attentive to what others expect and remain focused on priorities. So the yellow, those are the coaching tips for the yellow. How can they help themselves? 1, don't try to please too many people. 2, don't take it personal. It's not personal that they don't understand your ideas. Maybe the green just needs more information. Maybe the blue needs to feel a little bit more empathy from you. Maybe the red needs to see where you're going for the future to be able to get that buy-in from you, right? Let's go to the green. Coaching tips for the green. We said that there was a lot of people on here that are green. I'm impatient when stressed, and I say things I regret, or I have a negative impact on my image. So greens are really direct. And so sometimes they're thinking something and they're frustrated, they're gonna blurt it out. They're just gonna say it and it's gonna sound mean because they're just trying to figure out how to calculate the bottom end, right? And then they're like, well, maybe that didn't sound so nice. But that person has already walked away with that image, right? So greens, because I am task oriented and I often appear calculating and cold, I need to try to show warmth and care and increase my confidence because I am very hard on myself. Greens expect perfections from themselves. And because nobody's perfect, they also judge others with that same measure. And then people that they're leading feel that they're uncared for because they're never going to measure up to a green standard. So why bother doing it? So hopefully you understand that greens, nobody's perfect. I understand you want the perfection and you're harder on yourself than you are on anybody else. You judge yourself more than any other person in the room. You take a failure hard. You need to learn to step back and give it some warmth because that is not what is really happening. It's just that let's figure out where I need to delegate a little bit more, where I need to let go of that frustration, emotion a little bit more. I'm green. I drag myself into a little frustration. Yes, and so it happens, right? And so understanding these colors about ourselves really helps us lead, be better directors and communicators. So blues, I would benefit from appreciating differences between people. Because I have a desire to please others, I can become exhausted by trying to meet demands. I must learn to say no and not take disagreements personally. Just because you say no and the person gets mad doesn't mean that you did anything wrong. Just because you said no and the person wanted you to complete this, you have to be okay with saying that no and holding your ground. Yes, it is true, Michelle. Every color needs to slow down. It's part of the learning process, right? There's all types of leadership skill sets that teach us all these different things. But I think that when you learn your color, you learn yourself at a different speed because we all have different speeds and levels. And we all lead with different types of emotions or actions or drives. And so when you learn how you do it and what you do to yourself to frustrate yourself, then you also learn why others around you are frustrated. So the blue, it says, I need to press pause when judging others and press play to be more open and forthright in expressing my views. The blues will hold their ideas to themselves. And you don't get the buy-in when the blue doesn't express their emotion. So you want to make sure that if you have a blue that you're allowing them to share, because remember, they're also leaders. And so they have something to say and something to share. The 5 W's, do we think of them often enough? And this is something that I was like thinking about, like, how can I close this leadership pattern? What we all know, right? Because we know that we all know the 5 W's. And what are the 5 W's? Does anybody have an idea? 5 W's. Okay, well, I'm going to go on. 5 W's, the why. What turns us into a monster, right? And I want, yes, who, what, where, why, when. Thank you. So the why. What turns us into a monster? Were you able to read how you lead and understand what frustrates you to understand that monster that comes out, right? And I put this little meme up just because I thought it was funny, because I turn into a monster when there's no coffee. You know, he says, must you turn into a monster every time the coffee pot is empty? Yes, and I'm going to go through that, Christina, in a little bit on the groups of colors as we go through a little bit more in the process. We're going to talk about those, because remember, where there's 2 colors for each person. Right now, we've been focusing on the main color. I'm going to talk a little bit more about the second color in a little bit. So the why. What turns you into a monster, and why do you get there? So that you can learn the patience and the control, right? The what. Don't be afraid to be open-minded. Your brain isn't going to fall out, right? We have to take the what in. We have to be able to take in moving objects and other people's opinions into our brain to let it filter, to see where they're coming from, how they lead, and how their opinion can make the company flow at a better direction. And I find these dumb memes just because I get bored sometimes and I like memes that make me laugh. And so, you know, I don't want to offend anybody with these memes. I just want to I think it's funny that sometimes we don't want to be open-minded, and it's really important that we do, because in the end, our brain is still going to be there. We're just taking it in. Maybe it was 5-10 minutes of you processing something that did you no good, but maybe it was 5 to 10 minutes of you processing something that you're able to create a bigger leadership scale out of it. The when. The biggest communication problem is we do not listen to understand, we listen to reply, right? I'm sure everybody's heard this. When should we always be implementing these leadership colors? All the time. When somebody is speaking, what is their color? How do they lead? How do they want to be recognized? What do I need to say to them to get them to have the buy-in into this project? Where is their communication style? When they're coming to me with a frustration, am I listening to truly understand what they're feeling so that I can reply, to them in their love language, right? In their leadership language. The where. Being an encourager, the world has enough critics already, right? We should be like this all the time, not just in our office, but even at home, when we're out in the community and building. The world has enough people complaining and talking smack about each other. If you're the only person in the room, learn to always be a sponsor. You know, we talk about sponsors and mentors. You know, I don't know if anybody really understands the difference between a sponsor and a mentor. A mentor is somebody that leads you, that you go to and they help you out and you have discussions. A sponsor is somebody who's talking about you when you're not in the room. So if you are connected to a person, you want to make sure that when you're speaking about them, you're always sponsoring them. There is something good about all of us in our leadership styles. So maybe the person doesn't have the buy-in, but how do we sponsor that person so that they're talked about in the proper way, and that there's not more gossip being spread in a room or office miscommunication? We want to make sure that we're being that sponsor, and the where is everywhere. And the who. I really like this, you know, this phrase, this quote: admit when you're wrong and shut up when you're right. It's one of the hardest things to do. When we're right, you know, sometimes we want everybody to know, hey, I was right. I knew that one. I got that one right. And then when it's like, did I do something wrong? We're kind of like, okay, you know, that was my bad. It's really important that your team see when you do something wrong, that we understand that we work together in the wrong. So in the color format, there is, oh my goodness, I didn't put the meme in it. I'll have to add that clip into the last part. But remember that there's 2 colors for every, color test that you took, right? There's 2 colors. And so in those 2 colors, you have to remember that your first one is how you drive. The second one is why you do it. So if you're green blue, right? I'm doing this because of the emotional connection with the people that I'm around. If I'm green yellow, I'm doing this because of the emotional connection with the community, bigger people, bigger scale, big events. If you are yellow red, why are you doing it? You do it because that's how you lead, and fun and exciting, but you're very driven. You want to get to the big picture. You want the end to be what exactly that you see. And so you have to lead with your 2 colors, not just your 1. And so somebody was asking, what color works better? Or like, how do you know the difference in the colors? Who works better together? Well, if you go back to our leadership behaviors, every color can work together if you remember how to approach them. Everybody has a sense of being understood and being heard. So if a yellow feels that they've been damaged or that they're hurt, everything that they lead, they're going to lead with that frustration and their emotion. And they're going to be upset when they speak because you're going to hear it in their tone. So if they feel that they're not being heard or that they haven't been given a chance to share or give input and they're passionate about something, they're going to be upset. The blues, if you don't start with personal stuff, personal quips and quotes, and you're not patient enough to give them time to present the information, or you threaten them with a deadline, or this hasn't been done, and you start off negative, you're going to not get the buy-in, right? The greens, statistics, information, you want to make sure that you're directing your information in that right way. So when you are leading, lead with your first color, see the emotion behind what you do with your second, and really understand yourself so that you lead with 2 colors. There's 2 types of bonds of you that give direction and give freedom to the people around you to be open and honest. Okay? Anybody have any questions so far?
Colleen does, but I don't want to talk over anybody else.
No, please, please.
All right. It's not really a question. It's more of a helpful. So the last time I did this with you, Sarah, like I said, I took our entire office through it. We took all of the resources, the breakdown from the site, all of the stuff you had in your slides, and we actually built a web page about it. And I was wondering if it is okay if I just share that web page, because it's all on one page. What you do for appreciation for different colors, what they mean when they're in combinations with each other. Now, the thing is it is wrapped, it's on my personal business site, and so it's not self-promotional. I'm just wanted to be very upfront that this wasn't like a trap, guys. It's just that's the page it's hosted on that we used as a reference for our team. And it really has all the information from her slideshow, if it was easier to share that link. So that's what I was going to do, but I just wanted to give a fair warning.
Yes, please share it, Colleen. That would be awesome. I'd love to see how you processed it well. It really does work well when you're working with your teams on their input. Not because you're allowing drama to come in. This has nothing to do with drama. There's a really good book, and I've said it, I don't know how many times, I preach it, I think, from all my social medias. No Ego. Go and read it by Cy Wakeman. No Ego. No Ego talks about not letting the dramas of people come in and delegate the work. Well, this isn't about letting the way that people lead bring in drama. This is about letting the way that people lead be allowed to be their best selves. It's Cy Wakeman, No Ego. It's really, really beautiful. How long did it take you to adjust your typical approach to actually match the color of the individual you are talking to? Now, because I've been doing this for such a long period of time, Tiffany, I've actually I was talking to, I was talking to Lauren at the conference at Hardy, not the Hardy, is it FHR? I don't know, some conference in Florida.
HR.
AHR conference in Florida. And I sat there and I was like, why don't you take this test for me? Have you taken it yet? And she was like, no. And I said, take the test. I think you're going to be a blue-green. Sure enough, she came out and she was blue-green. Perfect to the T. Why? Because I've learned the way people speak, and I listen to their tone, and I listen to the way they present themselves, so that I'm like, oh, this is how I need to work with her so that we can be on the same page together, right? So we're on the board, and so I want to make sure that I'm on the same page with her, and that I'm allowing her to grow, and for her to share, and for her to speak. And so you can really pick it up so quickly. I don't know, Colleen, you want to share how long it took you?
Well, like I said, if the board meeting's any indication, I'm still on a multi-step program. It's hard, and I will say recognizing it makes it easier because you take the person out of the problem and you just try to relate on a different level. So where I'm very much all passion and emotion, it comes across as aggression. And I know this, it's not the first time I've heard that, but it's still not easy, you know. It's one of those things where it's just recognizing what other people, how they receive stuff, brings a little clarity into it when you're processing it later. If anybody is similar to me, you're taking a situation sometimes at work, or maybe a conversation, or maybe an email, and you're reading into it sometimes, and then you're just thinking about it and processing it and thinking all the stuff that you kind of are attaching to it. But sometimes the filters you need to adjust based on what that person's colors are. And I guess that's the best way to say it is, you know, how they receive stuff and how they communicate. So it's getting better. Like I said, we didn't throw chairs this year, doing any wrestling. So I think we're doing good.
It really does help for us to understand the love of people's leadership skills. And basically that's what that is. That's why I put that quote in. I wanted to end with this, this quote here. Your brand is what people say about you when you're not in the room, right? And the reason that I wanted to end with that is because you want to be a sponsor, right? And so when you leave the room, you want people in the room to be sponsoring you as well. And so how you lead is the brand that people are going to be talking about. So if you feel like maybe you're not being heard or you're not being understood, then perhaps we need to look at what is it that we're doing to feel alienated and to alienate the people around us. So my thing is lead with color, and things just work themselves out so that, you know, we just seem to be better people and we work in better harmony with each other. And it is different when you have the different personalities, but it can really enhance your teams to know their colors as well. So one of the things that I did was I had my whole team, I took them to dinner, and I had my whole team take their colors, and then I had them all share about their color, about their input, how they felt the test matched up to them, so that everybody else in the room was like, oh yeah, this makes sense. You know, now I understand why this person reacts the way they do. Oh, I didn't realize I was doing that with you. And then I did an activity at the end of having the color test. And it's a really cool, simple activity. I just got Post-it notes, and I had everybody write what they appreciated about that person in their job. So like I had some of my team was crying because one of them was like, I did not know you appreciated that. She's a green and she does like super great charts and stuff like that. And sometimes nobody ever says, hey, thank you for this beautiful chart. And I really understood this, or you made my life so much easier when you implemented this. And so they did a lot of that, and the team just kind of got really, really close, and you know, they work better. And so the little snips and snides that they used to say to each other under their breath, or the frustration, now they're like, okay, Mr. Yellow, or okay, Mr. Green. And they make jokes about it, and then they work together better. So I just want to share that with you guys because I find it really effective, especially for me because I'm sit in different boards and I'm in the community. I'm around so many different people that I try to start off with this. It's a slow process. There's thousands of tests out there, right? But it's a slow, simple process for me to at least be able to structure myself and what I put out into a room and still be received and responded to in a way that I get buy-in. And that's my presentation.
Thank you, Sarah.
Thank you.
I'm sure you guys have a lot to absorb, and I really appreciate everybody who's been in the comments. The link that I shared is in the comments, and like I said, me and Sarah will work on collecting the emails and sharing her presentation. I do have one more announcement. Laura Lynn's on the call, and she has a special announcement for one of our regional events coming up pretty quickly. So Laura Lynn, if you have a moment, if you could share real quick.
Sorry, I had to unmute myself. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay, awesome. So we do have a regional meeting in Houston, Texas, April 2nd. It's going to be at the Grotto in the Woodlands at 5:30, from 5:30 to 8:30.
Now, you guys have a schedule and all sorts of things I just saw last night. I'm putting together it on the website right now as we speak. So there's going to be more information about that, and I'll put it out on the social media. But ladies, if you're in the area, it's a fun fact, the majority of Women HVAC membership actually resides in the state of Texas. The rest of us are all over the country, but Texas has a big portion. So if you are in the Houston area, you know, we have a regional event on the 2nd in the Woodlands at 5:30 p.m. And Laura Lynn from Goodman and Linda Rodriguez from Quiet Flex are really championing this as a regional meeting, and we're really excited to have the opportunity that they're able to put this on, and we're just going to support them any way we can. So again, look for that stuff on the website. The links are all there. Again, use the test, guys. I mean, I can even show you like what I did when we took it as a company. That link I sent you, I have everybody's results in my entire company, and we all kind of took it and then got in groups, and it was really great. And it really helped. It doesn't solve all your problems, but it helps you identify them at first so you're not jumping down each other's throats and taking on unnecessary baggage. And it's a slow work in progress, so it's kind of the first step. But Sarah, you did a fantastic job. And I loved your PowerPoint. So thank you so much for sharing. And if you guys have any questions for Sarah as well, like I said, we'll include it in the email, and we can give you her email address that you can reach out to her. She is quite the resource. So hopefully we'll see you guys all in September in Chicago, the 9th through the 11th. Thank you guys so much for jumping on our Zoom in call. The next one is, I believe, next Friday. Yeah, next Friday. Danielle has one coming up, and you'll hear more about that in your email. So stay tuned. Thanks, guys.
Thanks, Colleen.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you, ladies.
Thank you.